The airline industry gives you access to heartland foodstuffs that can be flown in from across the country. It's not every day you see lobster on an airline flight.
Right. This is a rock lobster. We use also Maine lobster, different airlines again.
That's for your first class passenger.
That's correct. About like a month ago, we actually did a very important charter for the president of Taiwan, and they all wanted fresh lobster in the entire flight.
And while all of this is headed for passengers on flights around the world, we should note that crew members have special arrangements when it comes to the food that they'll eat on board.
Also an interesting fact, for example, the pilots, they cannot have seafood. And also if they have two pilots, they have different meals. Just, so if something happened.
Given the global marketplace in travel today, special menus from Heartland Harvest must be tailored as well to special dietary needs. That can mean anything from meatless meals to religious considerations.
We have a lot of special meals, kosher meals, child meals, Muslim, Hindu, gluten-free.
As with any business, meeting those demands means setting up systems to deliver meals in a timely and efficient manner.
We have, of course, many different stations in our kitchen. It's a large facility. We have a marinade station as well.
After the preparation, packing, and cooling, the airline meals are stored until called up for delivery to dozens of planes on the concourse. Specific meals for specific destinations, first class and main cabin meals, appetizers, desserts, and snacks. Using the Heartland's finest ingredients is all part of an effort to reinvent fine dining in the sky. Or to put it another way, bon appetit at 30,000 feet.
I think it's the passion that the chefs have to want to produce a product, a good product. It's the challenge of producing high volume products and having quality built into it. I think the chefs here do have a passion and they do have a culinary flair to want to do a good product for the passengers.
We know a lot of you turn to us for information about agriculture, and we've got some neat things to check out on our website. Everything from Heartland recipes to educational study guides. Just log on to americasheartland.org. And of course, there's lots going on in our social media arena as well. You'll find us there too. We'll see you next time, right here in America's Heartland.
You can see it in the eyes of every woman man in America's Heartland, living close to the land. There's a love for the country and a pride in the brand in America's Heartland, living close to the land.
So I laugh about everything. I laugh all the time. I'm just like a laughing box. See what I mean? It's funny because my favorite saying is fairly recent. The idea that we tend to overestimate short-term gains and underestimate long-term successes. And what that means is that we tend to be impatient. We tend to expect results right away. The reality is that oftentimes, if we're patient, we realize that over time, change does happen. We can look at history and see how change has happened over time. And sometimes we're in the moment, we don't recognize that that is actually leading to many, many moments that are happening at the same time that's moving us in a certain direction, that's going to make the world a better place, that's going to give freedom to somebody, that's going to make it possible for somebody to exist that may have not existed before. I've learned so many things, I think, in life. I'm 60 years old. I just turned 60. I've learned that facing your fear is the best way to get rid of it. I stuttered as a kid, and finally I met this therapist who said, stuttering is about being afraid. It's about being afraid of speaking. So you have to say, own it, own the fear, and stutter more, and feel comfortable with your stuttering. And I thought, she must be crazy. What do you mean stutter more? She said, when you stutter more, you let go of that fear. And sure enough, with stuttering more, I was able to get rid of my speech impediment. I tend to get in trouble for using words that people are not supposed to generally use. So I'm very colorful in my language. I'm trying to be uncolorful because I'm on camera right now. But I love words, I have to say, because I asked someone, I said, you know, it's really hard to read poetry sometimes. Like, reading poetry is not something that is comfortable for a lot of people. And the person that advised me said to me, read the words. And I started reading the words and enjoying the words. I live in a word world, so it's very exciting for me when I hear people using words in a way that is creative and exciting and makes you pause. I look forward to every day to work. There's always something new, something exciting. I mean, the restaurant business in itself is a dynamic business, always changing. And you know, it's where people come to connect and meet. And this is my place of work. It's a great space to be in. I don't have to leave an office to come to eat. This is my office and this is my space, and I can have a great time here and meet people here. I don't try to limit myself in what I say and what I don't say. And I think, you know, I take the rights that this country affords very seriously. I really do. I'm an Arab and I'm a Muslim. There's a price these days to be an Arab and a Muslim in this country, you know, with all the disparaging comments and things that are going on around us. I mean, I think this is a country that I chose to become a citizen. I didn't have to become a citizen. I chose to become a citizen. The reason why is because of the values this country has. You know, Langston Hughes wrote about those values, and he wrote about how important those values are. So he says, let America be America again, you know, and you have to ask, like, what is that again he's talking about? What he's talking about is the original idea that the dreamers dreamed, the idea of equality and freedom and love and all of that. And so for me, I always go back to, you know, what makes me an American. And it's about the freedom and the ability to say whatever I want to say, whenever I want to say it.
Hi, I'm Rob Stewart. Who doesn't like a great dessert or something sweet from time to time? Coming up, we'll meet some farm folks delivering sweet, delicious treats. We'll take you down south, where one farm family has been harvesting sweet and juicy peaches for almost a century. Cranberries are a popular dish when holidays roll around. We'll head for Massachusetts, where harvesting the round red berries is a lot harder than you think. We'll meet a Vermont family tapping into the promise of sweet maple syrup. And this California farm family is counting on strawberry fields forever. It's all coming up on America's Heartland.
You can see it in the eyes of every woman and man in America's heartland, living close to the land. There's a love for the country and a pride in the brand in America's heartland, living close to the land.
Hey there, thanks for joining us on America's Heartland. We all know that fruits and vegetables are important to a healthy diet, and it makes it easier to stick to that diet if our choices include something that tastes good. Well, the good news is that whether you're picking up fruit at the farmer's market, traveling to a you-picked farm, or reaching for peaches, plums, or pears at the supermarket, we're all eating more fruit than we did a generation back. The Department of Agriculture says that fresh fruit consumption, in particular, is up by more than 25% alone. And that figure could grow. Increasing numbers of farm-to-school programs and nationwide farm-to-table efforts are delivering more fresh fruits and vegetables directly to homes and schools. This is all good news to growers in the Heartland, whose farms and orchards are working to meet that demand. One of those farms is centered in the heart of South Carolina's peach country, run by a family that's been picking the sweet fruit for almost a century. It's the busiest week of the year at McLeod Farms in McBee, South Carolina. It's the height of the harvest, and there are ripe peaches everywhere you turn. Kemp McLeod calls these peaches Max Pride, and on this mid-July day, they're perfect for the picking.
We'll pick them 5 times, over about 5 to 6 times, and we'll probably pick them over the next 10 days. We try to pick every peach that's ready, and because we got so many orchards to go.
The McLeod fruit trees spread across miles of the Carolina countryside, 650 acres, with workers picking each piece of fruit by hand.
I know what variety gets ready, I know what characteristics, and these fellows here have been with me 20 years. He knows what to look for. So everybody out here, they're tuned in on what we need to do.
The McLeods grow more than 20 varieties of peaches. Kemp says the Windblow is the most popular peach in the South.
About behind the man right there.
The picking and packing to keep the fruit on the shelf demands coordination in growing and harvesting.
Okay, watch your top. That's what we're looking for. This guy's doing a good job. A peach cannot be stored, so what we do is we grow different varieties to fit different ripening, so we have continuous flow of peaches.
I see.
So we try to pick a peach that will crop, consistently, has good shelf life, that can work.
Off the tree, containers of the peaches will roll down the road to the McLeod packing house. The peaches will be sent through a cold water bath to cool them from the field heat. They'll be sorted by shape and size, then packed and shipped.
How many peaches can move through here in a day?
Roughly about 700 bins can be picked a day, and we also can pack about 10,000 boxes per day, and that's 500,000 peaches.
Kemp's son, Spencer, returned to the farm after college and oversees the packing house operations. Much of the fruit will go from field to consumer in less than 24 hours.
Good.
Spencer, why did you pull this one out of the batch?
This one's ready to eat. It's ripe. It's a little bit soft. That's the way I like to eat my peaches. Sometimes the peaches can be firm when they're at the grocery store. You want to give that a chance to ripen up, and that's when I like to have it. Set it out. Don't put it in the refrigerator.
South Carolina is the #1 state for peach production in the South. The McLeod peaches will ship all across the country and even into Canada.
They are ripe and ready to go.
Yes, sir. These are ripe peaches, Windblows, and they're ready to eat right now. We're going to take these straight to our store, put them on the shelf, ready for people to make a pie or eat fresh.
What do people say to you about why they keep coming back for this?
Well, you got to have a good peach. You got to make a good product. If it looks pretty, that'll sell it the first time. But if it tastes good, everybody's going to come back.
Those peaches, headed for the McLeod retail outlet, are popular with customers from all across the region. They show up here to purchase peaches, peach cobbler, peach pie, peach ice cream.
You've tasted them from other places?
Georgia.
From Georgia?
And of course, the Georgia peach is supposed to be the best peach, but we would have to say these peaches, they're better.
What is the appeal? Why come, for some people, far to eat this?
Well, it's fresh and it's homegrown, and it's in Chesterfield County. We love it.
Mm-hmm. Does homegrown matter to you, Susie?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it supports our state and our local businesses and those sorts of things.
So it's more than just good flavor for you. It's knowing that you're supporting your roots.
The roots and the businesses and the families and all that participate in it.
All right, well, taste it.
Taste it. Have you had any?
Not unless you're sharing.
It's your food.
All right, I'm gonna have a bite of yours. May I? I see why you drive all the way over here. Nice to see you.
That fresh-picked flavor is part of the pride for the McLeods. Pride in a product that has deep roots in these fields and this community. Kemp is the 4th generation of McLeod farmers, young Spencer the 5th.
I look at your hat and it says Max Pride.
Right.
What is that pride to you?
Well, I mean, it's my life. It's our family life. It's our family. It's the farm is our family, and our family is the farm.
You think your daddy would be proud?
I think Dad would be very proud.
South Carolina grows more than just peaches. The Palmetto State is home to one of the few tea plantations in the U.S. Farmers here also grow ginkgo, a popular medicinal herb. And if you like okra, you'll want to stop by Irmo, South Carolina for their annual Okra Strut Festival.
A lot of us would agree that holidays like Thanksgiving wouldn't be the same without cranberries. Whether you like them jellied or whole, the colorful fruit is the perfect addition to the meal. And if you want a fruit that's truly American, look no further than the cranberry. The red berries were being used for food and fabric dyes long before the first European settlers arrived. Our Sarah Gardner says cranberries have been part of both American history and the history of one particular family.
We landed with the Mayflower in 1620, and the surname Walker came in 1635, and my mother's family landed in 1632. That's hundreds of years of a tradition.
Annie Walker is the owner of Annie's Crannies Cranberry Farm on Massachusetts Cape Cod. It's a unique farming operation dating back before the American Revolution.
With the exception of 36 years, this land has only been worked by the Nabscusset Indian tribe, the Hall family, and the Walker family.
A number of native varieties of cranberries grow in the wetland bogs of Massachusetts. The state has some 14,000 acres devoted to the bright red fruit.
What I grow is called Howes, H-O-W-E-S. The Howesberry was cross-pollinated and cultivated on Scargo Lake here in Dennis in 1847. So when it came time for me to renovate the bog, I chose to plant Howesberries because it's native to here.
Cranberry production here is so rooted in antiquity that even crop yields are measured differently. No bushels here. Think instead of barrels, like those found on old sailing ships.
A barrel is approximately 100 pounds. I think the average for Howes is about 120 barrels an acre. And on my best year, I've grown over 450 barrels to the acre of Howes.
There are two methods of harvesting cranberries, wet pick and dry pick.
The wet pick cranberries represent about 95% of all the cranberries grown in Massachusetts. They're ultimately going to be used in juice, sauce, sweetened dried cranberries, those sort of products. And it's a 3-day process. The first day they flood the bog, then they drive out with harvest machines, and they literally knock the cranberries off the vines, and they float to the surface because they have air pockets inside of them. And then the third part of it, they corral the fruit and pump it off of the bog into the trucks.
Annie, who prefers selling cranberries as fresh fruit, employs the dry pick method using a motorized walk-behind harvester.
It's got teeth on the front, which is like combing your hair. So when you dry pick, you always go in the same direction, around clockwise, and the paddles push the berries up into a burlap bag.
She also uses a two-handed comb scoop for the edges of the bog.
This scoop is from about 1950. It weighs about 3 pounds, empty. And that's all I do. So I go ahead and scoop the edges and rock it forward and pull forward. What it does is it leaves the vine, it pulls up all the runners, and then I go back and I hand prune this with a pruning rake to get rid of these runners.
The crop eventually makes its way to a separator, this one built more than 100 years ago.
This is still how they do them in market, is through these separators. There's been nothing new invented since 1905. When they go in the separator, there's bounce boards. A good dry berry bounces. They have chances to hit the board and bounce forward. If they hit the board and it doesn't bounce forward, it will drop to the rotten bins in the bottom. Those actually become juice. So we check the front. This looks like a happy hive. Let's see if they're happy.
With bees necessary to pollinate the cranberry crop, Annie maintains hives all around her bogs.
If the bees don't kiss the flowers, we don't get cranberries. It's that simple.
In addition to established honeybee colonies, farmers here are attracting native bees, butterflies, and other pollinators by growing certain kinds of wildflowers.
Because you don't want plants that are going to compete and be a pest on the bogs. You also don't want them to be in bloom when the cranberries are in bloom.
The bees are happy, we're happy, because they have to pollinate the food source. So if this helps get them through the winter, this will give them a fall honey source for the winter. Then next spring, summer, when I need, my bog is in full bloom, in the end of June through mid-July, then the bees will be happy, they'll stay here, and they'll go out on the bog. The best part of this experience is that I'm able to save something that my grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather did and pass it on to the next generation. The best day of the year for me is a Labor Day party where the whole family comes and partakes. And that's, sharing it with the family is the best.
Do you like cranberry juice? The phytochemicals in cranberries are a good source of healthful antioxidants. But cranberry juice is no new health food invention. Early settlers to New England began consuming cranberry juice in the 1600s. And the vitamin C in fresh and dried cranberries helped early American sailors prevent scurvy while at sea.
We picked some sweet, juicy peaches earlier. Let's serve up another Sweet Farm product that comes from a tree. Now, this is not something that you pick like an apple or an orange. Like the cranberry, it has a place in American history, and it's definitely something you'll want on your breakfast table if pancakes or waffles are coming your way. It's a late winter ritual older than America itself. As these snow-covered New England mountains begin to thaw,
ah man, nice and full.
The farmstead hills and valleys of Vermont come alive with the annual sound of maple syrup being made. It is tree tapping time, and within seconds, the sap is flowing.
That sound there is music to a sugar maker's ear, that drip, drip, drip.
Arnold Coombs' family has been sugar making, as they call it, for 7 generations. Today, he's tapping a tree that was planted decades before the Declaration of Independence.
Well, this is the method that's been used for well over 100 years. Where you drill a hole into the tree, it's a little bit bigger hole than the plastic one, drive a metal spout into the tree, and just hang a bucket on it with a cover.
This sugar house is where Arnold's cousins boil the sap down into maple syrup. It's a slow process as water in the sap evaporates over a wood-burning fire. As outside temperatures warm, maple sap will flow for several weeks. It takes about 10 gallons of sap to make just 1 quart of syrup.
Wow. How long did this take to fill up?
On a perfect day, you can fill it in 1 day. That's 4 gallons of sap.
4 gallons, okay.
4 gallons, so that would be 40% of your crop in 1 day.
Wow.
But seldom do you get that.
Just across the Vermont border in New Hampshire, syrup runs in the family for Bruce Bascom as well.
My great-grandfather moved to part of this property in 1853. He was tapping maybe 500 trees, probably in wooden buckets.
But times have changed, and maple means money. Bascom Maple Farms is one of the biggest producers of maple syrup in the world. They take a more modern approach.
So these trees were